last time you were on the channel, you had a video that was removed, right? And you got your community guideline strike for something that was not even published.
Correct.
Okay. Now
and then I had already deleted.
Oh, you'd already deleted it. Okay.
And
all right.
it had a disclaimer.
This is why I believe you're on a no-fly list, dude. I did a live stream with, I'm not even going to say his name, and the video got removed. And I'm convinced it's because that guy's name is flagged for YouTube. Convinced. And I just, for some reason, I don't know why you, though, you're like this harmless parody video maker. But maybe you're not so harmless. Maybe there's some truth in these parodies that YouTube's scared of. I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I should take it as a compliment. YouTube thinks I'm like a Walter White.
Yeah, you're definitely dangerous. And now officially part of the violent criminal organization. Right? Isn't that how they've categorized you, and that's why they've demonetized your channel?
Yes. They say I'm their violent criminal organization policy is what I'm accused of violating by supporting violent criminal organizations.
Okay, so this is the video, and people should go over to your ODYSEE page because that's where they can watch it. It's literally 13 seconds long, and you have Elliot Rodger here, okay, right? He was the guy that committed the shooting at UC Santa Barbara, or around UC Santa Barbara in 2014, and he says that he's there drinking a vanilla latte. This is prior to the shooting, and then you have this at the end. Could you read that for us, just to make sure that I'm seeing this correctly?
Insanely overpriced beverages for psychopaths.
Okay. Okay, so there's no actual violence in the video. It's just him drinking his Starbucks.
And there's no support for Elliot Rodger in this video either.
No, you're calling him a psychopath, and yes, and then well, tell me a little bit more about how you came up with this last frame here to put with the video. What is the deeper meaning here? Since you are
just, I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time on it. It's a 10-second video, but what's the thought behind it is I'm obviously making fun of narcissists and materialism and corporate. I mean, Starbucks. I mean, it's just materialism and narcissism and this psychopathic bitch, Elliot Rodger, and. Like, how could anybody misinterpret this? That's the other thing, Allison. It's like, how can this? There's just so many elements to this. I am this same YouTuber that YouTube originally demonetized my videos. The following videos. Okay, so you know the whole "this is how it started, this is how it's going." Okay, this is how it's going. This is how it started. I had my and this started a couple of years ago. I guess it was really after like the Russiagate stuff when social media really started cracking down. So I had the following videos demonetized: how to defeat racism, 5 inspiring stories, Jewish voices for peace, 5 inspiring stories. What else?
What were the reasons that they gave you for demonetizing those?
What were they? Something about like too controversial, or the first one happened so early. It was like how to defeat racism. They demonetized that one. I don't even see a reason when I look that one up, because I guess that happened before they were even like giving some reason. There's not even a reason for that one. And that one was age restricted as well. And the other one, again, and these are all confirmed by human review. Now, of all these videos, I did have the one overturned only after I got enough, retweets on Twitter, the Jewish voices for peace. And also, that's also because, that's, hip now. If this had happened like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that wouldn't have, it wouldn't have flied. I wonder, even though it's just 5 Jewish, inspiring Jewish voices for peace. I mean, luckily in that case, I don't know what it is. Like the anti-Semitism thing just doesn't fly like it used to. So that's some progress. But anyway, I'm ranting now. I have not slept. This happened right before I got on a fucking airplane. I was on an airplane the whole fucking day. I hadn't slept the night before. I was like, I'm going to get sleep on the airplane. I could not fucking sleep. This is so insane. And I didn't have internet. I'm like, oh God, how can, like, I need to be doing something to tell people about this. This is nuts.
Well, and it sounds like, it's funny. UPS just got here, by the way, and dropped off my latest book. Literally as you were talking, Stonewalled by Cheryl Atkinson, My Fight for Truth Against the Forces of Obstruction, Intimidation, and Harassment in Obama's Washington. So anyway, that's apropos, but that's a different, actually, maybe it is closer to the talking point than we think, because really what's starting to become more and more obvious is the conflation of government and the tech companies. And you have to wonder what is going on behind the scenes that is causing YouTube to now comb through people's videos from 7 years ago. And could it possibly be because you mocked Mark Zuckerberg yesterday because of the hashtag revolution, that they were not letting you search on Facebook? You know, I mean, did you end up getting their attention again? But this is what I'm going to take us back to this screen and then show everybody what you were doing there on Twitter. But, you know, I just kind of wonder, part of me just doesn't believe that it's just YouTube just kind of coming up with some kind of new action plan to comb through people's old videos. It just seems too weird to me that there wouldn't be some other pressure from the government. But then who are you for the government? Like, that doesn't make sense either.
It's so weird. Yeah, it does sound like a conspiracy, but you also got to realize, I mean, AI can learn that shit, can be like, oh, you know, when Ford Fisher talked about his channel getting demonetized. I don't know if it was taken down for a bit. Certainly videos were taken down and it was demonetized, I believe. And he said he thought it was YouTube recognizing that he had just been on another channel that had been demonetized. In this case, I believe it was the Convo Couch, and so he thought maybe that was could be it. It's super strange.
I think that's absolutely a possibility. So this is what you posted. This is a screenshot that you were demonetized, suspended. So I'm assuming that you could maybe get it back, but it says for non-compliance with our partner program policies, and that they reviewed your content and think it violates their violent criminal organization policy. And then that's the video we were just showing people. But let me show, crap. I want to go back to your page and show people the video. I shared it on my locals, which is why everyone should go to AlisonMorrow.locals.com, because you would have seen it there. Oh man, a lot of people are retweeting you. I'm trying to find your video from oh my God, a lot of retweets, but that's good. And hey, if you all want to go support Matt, where's your Patreon? What's your Patreon so that we can
patreon.com/orf ORF.
Okay.
Please.
This is the video.
Yeah.
Right? Oh,
yep.
Hang on. I want to get this to I don't want to play over you because I want, even though it is, West Virginia is one of my favorite songs, but so this is great. So yeah, explain this video, because this was the gem that you produced yesterday.
So these are all screenshots people shared documenting how the hashtag revolution was censored on Facebook, at least through July 4th weekend. I believe I might have been the first person to document it, and that I took that screenshot on July 2nd. And then, as you can see here, you know, many other people caught on: Ford Fisher, Stephen L. Miller, some politicians, U.S. politicians. Me? You, yes. Only the best, and Reclaim the Net. And so this is a real freaking thing. And the irony, or the absurdity, the insanity of Mark Zuckerberg, and that's Facebook's
community guidelines, right?
Let me pause it. Yeah. So
go back.
That was Okay, so when you clicked on, so you look at that.
Okay.
So that's Facebook's community standards. If you clicked on learn more, so they say we're blocking this hashtag for your safety because some of the some of the posts violate our community standards. So hold on, because some of the posts violate your community standards, you're gonna block all of them? That makes no sense at all. It makes no sense. And and so you click on learn more, and what does it send you? It doesn't tell you what the fuck is going on, what started this, what the logic is, other than these vague generalizations like, oh, community, something against our community standards. And so they just send you to the full community standards. And this is the community standards. This is actually, I didn't bother printing out another one. This is what it was a couple years ago, whenever I was started trying to figure out what the hell is going on with Facebook. But I have no doubt the latest version is even longer than this. So it's a large stack of papers. Anyway, so and then what we go on to, I think, is also very important. The last 3 shots, I think, are very important.
Okay, go. So start playing again. Go down here.
Okay. Oh, that's one before that. No, just the 3 shots. So here we go.
Okay.
So one of the big issues people bring up, not issues, this is one of the dumb talking points, repeated talking points you hear is, oh, Facebook is a private company. And so what? So it's legal and there's nothing we should worry about. Okay, first of all, just because something's legal doesn't mean it's good. Second of all, everyone already knows it's fucking legal. That's not what the debate is about. The debate is about whether this should be legal, whether this kind of censorship should be legal. And how dangerous this is, how much power this is. And I have a lot to say about private companies, and I would like to talk about that, but we'll continue with it. So this shot here is how the Biden administration wants Americans to report radicalized friends, family, coworkers to the government. He did pass like some kind of Patriot Act 3.0, and when it involved this, and the Biden administration, okay, so they're asking Americans to report radicalized friends and families to coworkers and government. What's the next slide, Allison? What's the next shot?
Let's bring it up here.
Facebook, right after the Biden administration wants you to rat on, your Bernie Sanders supporting uncle or whatever, or Trump supporting uncle, or Black Lives Matter. It could be anything. Their Facebook is doing the government's job for you now.
Yeah.
So this just shows how closely intertwined there. Facebook is literally working. You can pretend this is not a coincidence. Do you think this is a coincidence that these happen right after one another? So this just proves that they're working together. Facebook is working directly with and for the government in ways like this.
Right. Well, we know. I mean, and I don't even think that's a secret. I don't even think that's a secret, really. I think they've been pretty vocal, haven't they? They've discussed that publicly. Haven't they? I mean, I know at least Biden has a tech czar that's sort of working with his administration, and now allegedly this person may have some like antitrust proclivities or something, and maybe this oligarchy will be broken up. But I don't know. I feel like somebody. Oh God, who was it recently? Say what again?
What person has some anti-oligarchy tendencies?
Well, we're waiting to see if the tech czar that Biden has is going to maybe pull out some of that. We'll see. I'm going to look this up.
Just had Mark Zuckerberg fucking virtue signaling on a $1 million surf. I don't know how much that thing cost. He's virtue signaling with the American flag while he's censoring the hashtag revolution on his website, and nobody's covering it except like the little Washington Times, you, me, and they only got it because people like you and me are the only people that are covering this. Luckily, we got this tiny little thing in the Washington Times, and they reached out to Facebook for comment, and surprise, surprise, Facebook didn't respond, but it is no longer censored. So somebody got the message, and but they didn't have to respond to it. And that's wrong. We need people to know this shit is happening. And I actually, well, can I go into why private company? Well, I'll just leave it there and see where you want to take us.
Well, I just was going to show this. Biden administration will share more info with online platforms on front lines of domestic terror fight. The Biden administration is outlining new plans to combat domestic terrorism in light of the January 6th attack on U.S. Capitol and social media companies. There's now a new national strategy on countering domestic terrorism. And the plan acknowledges the key role that online platforms play in bringing violent ideas into the mainstream, going as far as calling social media sites the front lines of the war on domestic terrorism. So, it says the Biden administration committed to more information sharing with the tech sector to fight the tide of online extremism, part of a push to intervene well before extremists can organize violence. According to a fact sheet on the new domestic terror plan, the U.S. government will prioritize increased information sharing with the technology sector, specifically online platforms where extremism is incubated and organized, continuing to enhance the domestic terrorism-related information offered to the private sector, especially the technology sector, will facilitate more robust efforts outside the government to counter terrorist abuse of internet-based communication platforms to recruit others to engage in violence. So, they're making it sound like it's a one-way thing. Like they're just going to give the tech companies information as if they're not working together in a two-way street. The tech companies are not handing information to the government. Anyway, I doubt that.
I want to tell everybody what to say when people bring up that tired talking point that Facebook and YouTube and these social media companies are private companies. You need to ask them, are you okay with the censorship in China? How do you feel about the authoritarian censorship in China? Would you tell them that they're being stupid? If they're about being concerned about the massive Orwellian censorship because it's private corporations that are doing it? Because it is private companies that are doing it.
Right.
It's a fact. And not only that is most of the censorship in China. The bulk of it is being done by private companies. That's a fact. And the way it's set up is so similar to here, or we're mimicking it very, very similarly. So how you were saying, we don't know, you don't know if, like how overt their agreement is, how exactly they're working. The reality is, our social media companies are largely self-censoring. So there's no right. There's no laws that have been passed that they have to do this censorship. But they were brought in front of, in government hearings, and they had the bejesus scared out of them so that they would do this, because if they don't self-censor and delete stuff that they think might bother the government, then the government will introduce, hard legislation. And in China, they do have laws that require social media companies to have self-censoring departments, but they don't tell them. At least a few years ago, they didn't even tell them exactly what they had to take down. They left it up to the companies. The companies made the lists, and the companies they don't want to get in trouble with the state, so they lean on the side of censorship because they will be liable if something gets out that the government doesn't like. And while there's no laws that the private companies in the US have to do that, they're operating in the same fucking way.
Yeah, it's starting to get, well, and we saw even last year, folks in Congress sending letters, what are you going to do about this? Remember that? Like, what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about disinformation? What are you going to do to everybody? Like Roku, it wasn't just the big like Facebook and Twitter. It was even the providers. Remember that? I don't know if you remember that letter that was sent to the provider saying, you know, maybe you shouldn't provide, you know, platforms for people, like, so not even just the platform itself, but Amazon and Roku and Comcast to just kick people off. And I think it was specifically, they were discussing Fox News, which is, it's just so, it's a really interesting time to be alive. And I have to say that I think the fact, and I'm going to show you a couple videos that I pulled up from a year ago, because yours goes all the way back to 2014. So I'm sorry, no one can say like, oh, you know, it's just because I'm going to show you videos that mainstream news did just 1 year ago that totally violate the community guidelines for medical misinformation, and they're still there. And so I'm convinced that corporate media gets to do basically whatever they want. They get to even make mistakes. They get to evolve in thought. They get to say, but of course, rarely are they saying anything that it's that dangerous, right?
It's only misinformation if it goes against the current, you know, cultural narrative. But that's interesting. But unless, of course, you're one of the elite media corporations, in which case, you know, which you're going to show us, I guess.
I am. Well, okay. So let's just final thoughts on the demonetization of your entire channel again for a video that was produced in 2014 that is 13 seconds long. I'm going to just show it one more time for people that have just joined us here. Again, Elliot Rodger's here drinking his latte that he talks about. He just literally says he's drinking his Starbucks latte and he's about to well, I don't know if this is right before the shooting, or was this just some other random video that he had posted? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, sometime before the shooting, obviously.
Obviously, yes, because he killed himself. But so, all right, so yeah, so he's the guy that committed the shooting outside UC Santa Barbara in 2014. He says he's enjoying his latte. You finish it by saying insanely overpriced beverages for psychopaths. Again, long ago, and now you've been cited as violating the organized criminal. Right?
Violent criminal.
Violent criminal. Yeah.
I'm violent.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's really interesting. So why are they going through your old videos? It's just, and then why does this qualify as that? All of these things are very odd questions, but yeah, I mean, what happens from here on out? Are you going to appeal? What's the next step?
Yes, of course. And I'll give a shout out to ODYSEE right now. That's on the front page of ODYSEE.
Oh, nice.
So okay. While YouTube is taking it off, ODYSEE is promoting it. So thank you. So it's you know, it's just,
yeah. Well, thank God. Yes. And this should be live on ODYSEE too, as well, for my channel talking about it, and as well as ROKFIN.